All right, fine, I'll play. Fraud, waste, and bloat need to be cut. Well, where are all those fraud prosecutions? Fraud is criminal. The only Medicaid fraud prosecution that I'm aware of, the largest Medicare scam fraud case in the history of the United States, was a Florida healthcare company that was fined billions of dollars by the Department of Justice because of the extensive Medicaid and Medicare fraud that they committed. And that's how the fraud works, okay? It's not people who are receiving Medicaid benefits because they don't see a dime. The government pays the people who are treating those people. And so when there's fraud, it's the treaters who are committing fraud, not the patients. And that fraud case that I was just talking about, the CEO of that company is now the senator from Florida, Republican, Rick Scott. So certainly all fraud needs to be rooted out in the government for every program. But we're almost 6 months in to Donald Trump's second term. He controls the DOJ, he controls the FBI, he controls the entire executive branch. And Elon Musk and Doge spent several months finding all kinds of fraud. They talked about it on social media every single day. Not one prosecution. Not one. Not one. And the people who qualify for Medicaid benefits qualify because they are incredibly poor. The corporations providing their care are not. Whatever. We don't care about the left's "what if this happens?" Well, it's not the left. It's the Congressional Budget Office that says that 17 million people who qualify for Medicaid will lose those benefits because of this bill. 17 million Americans on the left and the right, and their kids and their elderly grandparents who are in nursing homes and nursing care facilities whose bills are being paid by Medicaid will lose those benefits. 17 million Americans, white, black, whatever, on the left and on the right. You guys don't think. You don't think critically. You don't read. You don't understand how these programs work. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You got some talking points, and then you decided to come and vomit them on the internet. We voted for reform and change. No, you didn't. You voted for Donald Trump because you're a racist, and you're a bigot, and you hate women, and you hate trans people. That's why you voted for Donald Trump. It had absolutely nothing to do with economics. Donald Trump is destroying this country economically. We got a new jobs report today. The projection was that in the month of June, the United States was going to add 100,000 jobs. The reality was that we lost 33,000 jobs, a difference of 133,000 jobs. So 33,000 Americans lost their jobs in the month of June. No new jobs were added, but you voted for reform and change. You survived 4 years of the worst President Biden. You'll be fine for the next 3.5. I will be completely fine. And I acknowledge that. I will be completely fine. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I have a law degree. I have a very good income. I own multiple firearms, and I have multiple freedom seeds for those firearms. I will be absolutely fine. Tens of millions of other Americans will not be, and my concern is for them. You do not have empathy for anyone. You do not care if other Americans are hurt by the policies of this government. You celebrate that Americans will be hurt by the policies of this government because You bought into the propaganda enough to believe that the only Americans who will be hurt by the policies of this administration and this Republican Congress belong to marginalized communities or the left. Then all the people who are going to suffer negative consequences from the actions of this administration are people who you don't like. And you're dumb enough to not understand that let's assume that you live in a rural area, because that's where a lot of Trump voters live. And the vast majority of people who live in rural areas did vote for Donald Trump and still support him. Medicaid is the only reason that you have hospitals in rural areas. Medicaid funds rural hospitals. And when Medicaid loses their funding, the rural hospital nearest to you will lose their funding and they will close. And then you will be lucky if you have a hospital within 90 miles of where you live. But you didn't think about that because you don't understand how Medicaid works or what Medicaid does. You just love Donald Trump, period. You don't give a fuck what anybody presents to you as far as factual information that contradicts your narrative in your version of reality. You do not care. You hate the left, you hate women, you hate black and brown people, you hate the LGBTQ community, you hate immigrants, and you hate the disabled. And you think that those are the only people who benefit from programs like Medicaid and SNAP. White rural Americans collect more in sheer numbers of dollar amounts. White rural Americans collect more SNAP benefits than any other group in this country. White rural Americans who voted for Donald Trump. They collect more money in SNAP benefits, food stamps, than any other demographic in the United States. Paid for by my tax dollars, because I live in California and we pay the federal government $80 billion a year more than we get back relative to the tax money that we send to Washington, D.C. You guys don't understand how that works either. We pay for people who live in red states because they're all on fucking SNAP benefits. You guys think we're already two different countries. And you guys think that Donald Trump can just act in a vacuum and only hurt people who live in blue states. People in red states are going to be hurt by this legislation dramatically more than people in blue states are going to be. Why? Because people in blue states make more money than people in red states. And people in blue states have democratic governments who will fund the programs that this government is now defunding. People in blue states are going to be fine. People in cities are going to be fine. People in rural America are about to get cornholed at a level they've never experienced before. Probably you among them. And by the time that you realize what is happening to you and to people that you care about, it'll be too late. Because you will have spent your last $249 on a brand new bottle of Donald Trump cologne. And you will undoubtedly need to go to the emergency room because you took that bottle, which is shaped like an Oscar statue, except on top it's a statue of Donald Trump, and you will have accidentally fallen on that in the shower, and it is now stuck inside your rectum, and you will need to go to the emergency department, which is now over 90 miles away. That's going to be an uncomfortable drive. That's going to be a very, very uncomfortable drive. But, you know, I'm absolutely certain that the emergency room staff will believe you when you say that you fell on it accidentally, getting it stuck. So good luck with that.